So the NYJO Jazz Messengers are a group which goes round to different schools, kind of varying ages. And basically what we do is we play kind of a semi-interactive concert to the students there and just kind of introduce them to jazz and give them a way in to jazz music really, and talk about our instruments and how we got there. I'm the musical director of the NYJO Jazz Messengers, and I wanted to do this project really because I've looked back at my own exposure to music in school, and for me there wasn't a lot of it, so I had to seek it elsewhere outside of school, and luckily I had the support of my parents and people around me, and they could support me financially as well to do that. But for a lot of children they don't have that access, and I think it's really important to have that access, and I think this project has been really good for kind of putting themselves in the middle of those schools and kind of exposing children to things that they probably haven't heard before. Just finding a connection between what it is you or the student already likes and the music. And I think once you make that connection, that you're kind of on your way then really. That's it, you start discovering so many other things that really interest you. Kind of looking at the connection between rap music and jazz, it has such a strong connection. There's such a strong connection rhythmically. What rappers do is so similar to what drummers do and to what instrumentalists do. There's a lot of like modern day hip hop and rap artists that are working with jazz musicians. They have them in their band, people like Common, people like Kendrick Lamar. They have a lot of jazz in there as well because they see the connection too. Yeah, it's about finding that connection for sure. Like generally, kids just have so much confidence in primary schools, and they're so willing to try things. Not everyone, but like they're so willing to try things. And then you get to high school, and I think the social anxiety starts to creep in, and I think that's especially when a lot of girls start to kind of drop out of instrumental lessons, and especially kind of when we're looking towards jazz, because we're expecting them to be like, okay, you need to improvise in front of me and your peers, and I want to put you in a band and that kind of thing. So I think it's really important to approach the teaching of improvisation quite sensitively sometimes, and try and not scare people off, but be like, look, this is just an extension of what you were doing before. It's not different, it's just an extension. It's really important. I think this year especially I've tried to make it more of a collaborative process. So I've asked the rest of the guys if they want to bring in a piece to play. I just want to make the programme more varied, and also when people are talking in the presentation, I think it gives them a little bit more of an investment. When they have written a piece of music, they can talk about it from a really personal place. And I think no matter how young the audience we're talking to, I think they can really relate to that. I think that's part of being a good leader as well, is not actually always taking complete control of it. I think bringing the ideas and letting people express their creativity is a really important thing as a leader. It's music, it's collaborative, it's social as it is. And I think when you're leading in music, I think you need to take that into account. The more and more I get into education, I think the more I understand my own playing, I think, as a musician. Because when you have to explain things to other people, you have to really think about that process a lot. And so when I go to practice, a lot of things become clearer actually. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, how would I try and teach this to another student? And I'm kind of teaching myself that. Education hasn't just taught me more about me, myself as a musician, but just about people. And I think that's been a really real eye-opener for me anyway.